Hey everybody, I'm Rob Childs, a Rapier swordsman out of the United States, and today I'm going to be discussing a lesson that I impart to all of my students, a concept that I call flowing water. Now also you might want to stick around towards the end of the video because I'm also going to provide a short update to the work party that happened this past weekend at the castle property, and let me tell you, a lot got done. I also want to put a shout out to all of my Patreon supporters that are helping with the process of building the castle at Castle Tiger's property. As we all know, many hands make for light work, and it is your support that is helping to make this a little bit easier for us to do. We are putting in a lot of money, a lot of sweat equity into this in order to make it something that is truly unique in the world, and you guys are going to be a part of that, and you're helping to make that become a reality for all of us. I also want to say a special thanks to the 4 new supporters that I've gotten on the channel most recently, and if you haven't signed up as yet, and you want to get access to exclusive fencing videos that goes much greater detail than these short YouTube videos do, into the tactics, the techniques, and the strategies that I use in my own fencing, then by all means feel free to click on the link that you'll see in the description below. It's called Castle and Sword. There are 3 levels that you can sign up for. Each one of them gives you different accesses. Hope to see you there. So what do I mean by the concept of flowing water and the application of it to your fencing technique? Well, whenever I get a new student, I try to impress upon them early on the importance of balance in all things. And that is no less true than when you were talking about the engagement of your opponent. Now, oftentimes I have seen fencers all over this country, and I've seen fencers all over the rest of the world, who like to engage in some out of balance practices that, I'll just call them that, whereby, for example, that student that likes to flèche all the time, they're trying to close as quickly as possible and overwhelm their opponent. Or that fencer who likes to try and close with their opponent and just keep pressing with nothing but offense, overwhelming offense. Well, the problem with that is that you are going to put yourself in danger as well. If you were looking at it from a martial context, and it was not a competition at a HEMA tournament, it's not something that you're looking to score points, but it was instead a martial fight whereby you're trying to kill your opponent and they trying to kill you. Well, how eager do you think you would be in order to close with your opponent to the point where you both could stab each other? Now, mind you, it's a very period way to die. I mean, lots of people back in the past did that, but it's not exactly the way that you want to go out. So I impress upon my students the importance of balance. Now, looking at it from a metaphorical perspective, you can look at the tide, right? The tide flows in and the tide flows out. And over the course of eons, it will wear away cliffs. It will completely transform geography. It is a very powerful force, but it is also a very balanced one. Whereas if you look instead at the tsunami, right? The tsunami rolls in, it crashes, perhaps does a little bit of destruction, but look at that cliff. That cliff is none the worse for wear. It is still standing, and the tsunami has completely expended all of its energy. Well, you as a fencer need to be like the tide, not the tidal wave, right? So when you are engaging your opponent, my advice to you is that you engage with offense and then defense, and then offense and then defense. And the reason for that is because when you are constantly offense, 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 you are establishing patterns that your opponent is going to be able to take apart. Trust me, I know, I've done it plenty of times. So you as a balanced fencer, a truly martial fencer, you're going to flow like the tide. You're going to be coming into the offense, and then you flow to defense, and you flow to the offense, and you flow to the defense. If you do so in this manner, you are ensuring that you are not only a masterful swordsman, practicing good technique, practicing good strategy, but you're also going to make sure that your opponent has the least opportunity to stab you in return. We don't want to get those double kills, and certainly in a martial context, you don't want to get that double kill. But fencing in this manner, flowing like the tide, working with true balance, this is the way you're going to ensure that you become your greatest swordsman. Now, some of you might be saying, but Rob, okay, sure, that covers the martial aspect, but none of us are ever going to find ourselves in an actual sword fight. But we are going to find ourselves in quite a few HEMA tournaments over the course of our careers. So, okay, let's look at it from a competitive perspective alone. If you are fencing in such a fashion, like I see so many people do, where they are out of balance in, which is typical, the offense, offense, offense. They're just trying to overwhelm their opponent with offensive moves that eventually gets through and hits their opponent, and hopefully they get the touch. But that's what you're doing. You're hoping that you're going to get that touch, because I'm telling you right now, and I will bet dollars to donuts that most of you have actually seen these kind of bouts already, where one person is just overwhelmingly trying to get close to their opponent and trying to overwhelm them with offense, whether that's through the use of constant pressing attacks or whether that's through the use of repetitive flèches over and over again. whatever the case may be, they get close to their opponent, and then it turns into a whole lot of swords slinging around, and then somebody maybe hits somebody, and now you're leaving the judges to try and decipher all of that garbage fencing that occurred and trying to assign points, which is, let's face it, for most of them, it's hard enough, even with clean fencing, for them to be able to score who got what points accurately. But if you're going to make it a bunch of garbage fencing like that, you're only making it harder on yourself, and you're introducing an aspect of luck even further into whether or not you're going to go forward into that fencing competition. So my advice to you is this: if you want to be a beautiful practitioner of your art, whatever the particular style is that you practice, make sure that you do so with proper flowing balance. Flow into that offense, flow into that defense. You're going to make it A lot more beautiful to behold for those who are watching. B, you're going to be much more skillful for it. And C, whether you are meaning to or not, you're going to be practicing in a martial context. If you were to be in that, if you want to practice it from that martial art perspective, right? You're going to offend to your opponent, and then you're going to defend because you don't want to get hit. You're not just going to simply throw your swords out there, completely ignore your defense, and let your opponent hit you after you have struck them, or worse, they strike you and get away. So if you want to practice, whether it is talking about a martial perspective or whether you're talking about the most skillful HEMA competitor that you can be, then do so with that proper balance. Flow into the fight, flow out of the fight. I'm talking about your movement, what you do with your footwork. I'm talking about what you do with your swords, offending and then defending, controlling that opponent. If you do this, I'm telling you, I'm going to be seeing you in the finals more often. So most recently, we just finished the first work party out at the castle property. We had a bunch of folks come out. They were all students of my particular brand of fencing, if you will. But we had a great time out there. The day started off on Saturday morning. We arrived on the castle property, and it started off with a tour of the castle property itself. I showed everybody where the battlefields are. I showed them where the castle site is. I showed them where the medieval village is going to be. I showed them the parking area that we've been working so diligently to clear out. But it was a great time. As soon as we finished that tour, we set to the actual work of the day, and we were clearing out Manzanita out of there with a team of people. We had folks that were working on the logs and cutting them into rounds that we're going to later cut into firewood itself. We had folks that were working the chipper out there, tossing in all of the branches, helping to reduce the size of those slash piles that are out there. And despite the amount of work that we got done out there and the progress we made, trust me, those slash piles are still pretty big. So we're going to be working on those for a little while longer. But I just wanted to let you all know, again, thanks to those Patreon supporters out there who are helping to support in that small way. Like I said, many hands make for light work. And just wanted to let you all know that progress is being made. We are going to be holding events there probably within the next year. And from that point on, it's only going to continue to grow and to accelerate. Because like I said, what I'm hoping to do, and well, no, I'm not hoping, I'm going to do this, is that I'm going to be creating this place that is going to be truly unique in the United States. Europe's got all kinds of castles, and I'm very jealous for the fact that they have those. But here in the United States, we don't have a castle setting, a truly immersive atmosphere where we can go and we can train and become our best swordsman, whether it's longsword, rapier, single stick, dagger, whether it's polearms, whatever the case may be. I want to create a place where we can all come in order to train for however long we want to hold. But it's going to be a place for HEMA tournaments. It's going to be a place where, you know, if you wanted to have a SEA event there, by all means, it's going to be open for that as well. But I want to create a truly immersive experience for us all. And I think we are well on our way to making that happen.